Okay, this is some basic information how we as humans will influence the ecosystems. You can take notes on this if you want. Just some basic notes is fine. So we play a role in the food web. We are consumers of both plants and animals, and we can easily change the balance of this ecosystem, both biotic and abiotic factors. There's things that we do that harm the environment, such as overhunting, overfishing, but there's things that we do that can help the environment, such as having artificial reefs, making artificial reefs, being able to have an area that we cannot overforest. And when we talked yesterday about the oil spills, whether oil's important for us, we need that fossil fuel, but we can have that debris that pollutes the ocean waters. We are dependent upon oceans because they're a major food source from around the world. And if you think about the water cycle, when you learn the water cycle, that we need that interaction with the sun so that you have the evaporation stage, so that water condenses in the atmosphere and comes back down to the land in precipitation. And this helps our fresh water supply. We need that fresh water in order to survive. Our producers need it, and we need it as consumers. This is what we talked about yesterday, and you did the web quest yesterday, was on oil, and that we need to be able to take this fossil fuel out of the crust, continental crust, and also the oceanic crust. But this is also a hazard because we can pollute the water with debris and oil. Overfishing is harmful to the marine environment. If we overfish, this affects the entire food web of that organism. And remember, if you put one thing in, take one thing out of a food web, it affects the entire food web. Runoff, this is going to be the water that runs off the land. And so if we use excessive fertilizers and pesticides, this runs off into our streams, which goes into the lakes, which can go into the rivers, which can actually go into the ocean. And so we've come up with agricultural practices that keep this from happening. Erosion of the soil, it can be harmful to the environment also. Our fossil fuels are important, but we have to be sure that we are conserving them and we are not having a huge impact on the land. Things like burning the fossil fuels that put pollution into the atmosphere. We talked about acid rain before, about how that condenses in the condensation phase and then comes back down as acid rain into the land. That can hurt our water supply and also be harmful in the land to the producers, which the consumers eat. It can contribute to global warming, climate changes, and deforestation, where we totally cut down a forest. These are things that can affect entire ecosystems. Artificial reefs, we're going to do an activity later this week on artificial reef. This is one thing that we actually do that will help a marine environment. If you think about the word artificial, okay, artificial is going to be man-made, and so we sink old ships and debris into the oceans so that helps create new marine habitats. Okay, that's the end of the presentation. Now you can log on to your Google Classroom and open up the human impact on ecosystems web quest.